Consider this day an important day. Why? Because today we deliver once more on the priorities set out in the European Agenda on Migration. You know, migration and mobility come in different forms. And today we help to strengthen a side of migration that has been overlooked and underestimated lately. I'm talking about legal migration, and this means both improving a very specific legal pathway to come here, but also what happens once migrants reside legally here. Let me start from the last element. Migration to Europe is not new. Third country nationals come to the European Union for work, for family, for studies, or for protection. We have an important window of opportunity today to create more future-proof integration policies and ultimately more cohesive societies. Not everyone of the more than 1 million people who have arrived last year will receive protection or a legal status to stay. But for those who will have to make sure that they can start participating in our labour markets and our societies as soon as possible. Integrating third country nationals who have a right to stay in the European Union as early as possible is economically beneficial for all of us. And this is not about supporting those who are vulnerable. No, this is about empowering both those who arrive in the European Union, but also about empowering the EU as such. Otherwise, the cost of non-integrating will be far greater than the investment that needs to be made now. And let me be crystal clear. Such investments should not come at the expense of other vulnerable groups in our societies, but in complementarity. We want to make the European Union in its entirety stronger and more cohesive. Ultimately, this is the responsibility and competence of Member States, their regions, and their citizens. So, what is it that the European Union can offer to Member States? It's a question. Our answer is today's action plan. When you have different Member States facing similar challenges, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We have to be pragmatic and proactive. Our action plan identifies several areas of action that are crucial for integration. Pre-departure and pre-arrival measures, education, employment and vocational training, access to basic services, active participation and social inclusion. We also propose to strengthen coordination between the different actors working on integration at national, regional and local level, and a more strategic approach on EU funding for integration. Because not only we need to invest more, we will need to invest smarter with what we have. Let me now turn to another priority that we deliver on today, a revised EU Blue Card proposal. This has been a political priority of this Commission from the very outset, and it shows that we must continue to look ahead when designing our policies. Today, we are moving from a scattered, unattractive and rigid system to an effective and sustainable European scheme where we can act as a single player internationally to attract highly skilled talent from abroad. There are two important reasons why we need it now. First, we are facing increasing skills shortages in sectors such as healthcare and IT. Even when we train and upskill existing workforce, which takes time, we still won't be able to fill all the gaps. Second, at the same time, we are facing a declining and aging workforce. It's good to know that over the next 20 years, the working age population will decline by more than 20 million. And yet, the European Union is not attractive enough, as the majority of foreign skilled workers are choosing other destinations which compete economically with the European Union. If we ever want to compete with the US green card, we need an EU blue card that deserves the same merit. That's why we propose to establish a single EU-wide scheme, enhance intra-EU mobility for blue card holders, lower the salary threshold and makes it more flexible, particularly for recent graduates and workers in areas with a labour shortage. Allow highly skilled beneficiaries of international protection to apply for a blue card. Strengthen the work and residence rights of both the blue card holders and their family members. Of course, Member States retain the right to decide on the volumes of permits issued, and the blue card remains complementary to our continuous investments in further developing the skills of the existing workforce in the European Union and tackling unemployment. While we continue to address the immediate challenges of the refugee crisis, we also have to start taking measures now in order to build cohesive and socio-economically stronger societies for the future. This is precisely part of our comprehensive approach as set out in the European Agenda on Migration. And the other element of that comprehensive approach is the external dimension, as my colleagues Mrs. Mogherini and Mr. Timmermans will announce later today on a new migration partnership framework with third countries. What we propose today are two elements, two sides of the same coin, continuing to address the root causes of migration in Africa as well as in the Middle East through tailor-made and strengthened partnerships, but also continuing to invest in labour migration and integration policies that work both for the host societies as well as those that arrive.